B-Jump Sunset World.
Sushi,
Sumo, Tokushima!
この番組は地域密着型のボランティア活動を徳島で行っている国際ワークキャンプのメンバーがお届けする30分です。
This 30 minutes broadcast is hosted by volunteer members who come from abroad to help the community of Tokushima.
Hello, good evening, everybody. We are your hosts for today. Hi, I'm Jimena from Costa Rica.
And I'm Dave from Australia.
This radio program Sushi Sumo Tokushima is live on FM Bizan. This 30-minute broadcast is hosted by volunteer members who come from abroad to help the community of Tokushima. Popular images of Japan, sushi and sumo? Yes, but we like people around the world not only know those images but more things about Japan. We share the news from Japan and information about Tokushima, a place that welcomes foreigners from all over the world. No one knows what language will be spoken or what kind of topics we will bring up, so don't miss it. Sushi,
Sumo, Tokushima!
So, hello everybody! We're here with our nice friend from Australia, Dave. Do you remember him from some weeks ago? It was like 2 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah. Maybe last month.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or the month before.
Yeah, it was the month before. Yeah, it was the month before. Yeah, you're right. So, how's everything been going?
Yeah, really good.
A lot of things happening?
Yeah. Well, I'm coming from Australia. I absolutely love summer, so I've really been hanging out for this time of year in Japan.
Yeah, definitely. I have them really decent sunburn, and I can represent the summer right now,
Yeah.
I have to admit. So, today I would like to introduce the topic immediately, which is the art scene, or specifically the theater scene, and the performance art that are really popular in Japan. And personally, I would like to talk about my experience from my country, in which theater, music, and plastic arts are definitely not popular, and nobody's gonna advise you to go for that as a profession. And I understand it. My country is a developing country. We have other problems and other things to invest the money in. So for the arts, even though I think they're completely and super important, my country doesn't give the support as it should. But even without that support, there's some theater companies in my country, and we have a really nice theater that is from over 300 years old. It was from the colony. It was built from the colony. It's really beautiful. It's in the capital city. And I met some people that they decide to dedicate their time, even if it's just as a hobby or as a full profession, to the theater. And there's some, let's say, organizations that take care of these people and try to give workshops or classes, especially for students. And actually, you can study, you have the proper studies in the university, in the biggest university of Costa Rica. So it is there, it exists, but the regular image is not popular for the rest of the people. I personally met theater actresses and actors and writers, and they definitely have a way of thinking quite different from other arts, as music or plastic arts. And it's really interesting for me. I am never been particularly interested in theater, but I definitely believe it's a beautiful form of art, and you can tell so many things. And of course, it was the birthplace of cinema. It was the birthplace of storytelling, and it's what allows us to have movies today. So it's a really important thing. And yeah, that's more or less the situation in my country. How is it in Australia?
Well, I mean, personally, growing up, being a theatre maker myself,
Wow.
I've spent a lot of my time sort of thinking about the importance and how to try and find some way to, increase our voice as theatre makers,
Definitely.
as even just to have a political voice.
Oh, wow.
That sort of thing. I mean, I think in Australia, a lot of the time, theatre is very political. It's always tackling some kind of important
Point.
Important idea. So it's not just an entertainment factor; it's an education factor as well.
Wow, that's completely
Yeah.
different of what my idea. In Costa Rica, we have some serious theater, like really good writers. They write especially about like the social situation, especially about like the situation between women, like how women are treated and so on, because that's a big issue in my country. But the other part, it's usually comedy. And
Yeah.
usually more entertainment, and that is usually the one that is more popular
Yeah.
for obvious reasons.
Yeah. This sort of escapism of comedy
Yeah.
wins out.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think the issue with trying to make something a little bit political is usually that the theatre in Australia is attacking the very government that is the funding body for this theatre. So-
Okay, so you're biting the hand that is giving you food.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So unfortunately, we don't have a lot of money coming into that industry
For obvious reasons.
Yeah, but I mean that's like any media really, any television show, any
Well, yeah, you're right in that point.
radio station or anything. That people have a platform to say maybe we
What they
should
think.
concentrate on these issues. It's always going to stir the political pot a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because they don't want you to talk about that. And They don't want people to think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially.
But another thing I think in Australia, an important point to mention anyway, is that, and this is just from where I grew up in Perth, Western Australia, and given my background and everything, but I have this idea that maybe theatre and sports are complete polar opposites.
Oh, really?
It's kind of you're for one or the other, and in Australia, sports wins out.
Of course.
Every single time.
Yeah.
Like we put so much money into
sports.
massive cricket stadiums or football or this sort of thing, and
rugby.
they get exactly Then they get all of the sponsorship, all of the money, and everybody loves to sit around on the couch drinking a beer and watching sports on the weekends. So there's this kind of this bred habit, I think, of people turning to sports rather than the sort of
arts.
the sort of artistic side, which is a real shame.
Yeah, definitely. And the idea that you have to choose one, it's the thing that I believe it's a waste. Because you totally can love football, but that doesn't mean that you cannot love jazz or love painting or love like a really nice musical. Like I don't see one thing has to like eradicate the other one.
Yeah, I think it's
a cultural thing, maybe.
It definitely is. I think we're a very masculine and kind of aggressive sort of a culture, or at least conservatively we are. I think that there's definitely a shift happening, and it's kind of evening things out a little bit. But I think that quite unfairly too, things like fashion or theatre, making music, it's been lumped in with
other things.
Feminine things.
Definitely. There's obviously always a correlation between those kind of forms of expression and femininity for some reason, which I don't particularly understand.
I think it's because it's
more sensitive.
There's an emotion attached to it.
Yeah.
So and men aren't emotional.
Exactly.
They're not
of course,
emotional
we
creatures.
all know that.
You know, so there's this really unfair idea of it, and it just means that because it's a male-dominated society,
definitely.
you know, if men like sports, then that's what gets the money. You know, that's what gets all the attention.
And it's funny and it's unfair the other way around, because if a woman wants to make their way through a sport, or like all the soccer team plays or rugby team plays of feminine team plays, they're not gonna get as much money or support as their male counterparts in exactly the same field.
In exactly the same field. Yeah.
So it's like the same. Like, if this is a feminine form of art, then guys are not gonna care about that, so we're not gonna put so much money on it. But this is sports, they are sport, but women are the ones who are playing, so it's not as interesting for some reason.
Yeah.
So let's not put that much money on them as well. So it's like, it's a little bit unfair. You want to use that word, but I think it's a cultural thing that just not allows you to have like all the nice things that we can actually have.
Another thing, I guess, is that, you know, we don't have I don't think we have a 300-year-old theatre. You know, white Australia is very, very young, so we don't have as much kind of history to draw on to be able to put into certain artistic things.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, now we would like to play one song, and after that we will keep talking about this interesting subject.
Sushi?
Sumo? Tokushima!
Welcome back, everybody. So we were talking about the industry of theater in different countries, in this case, Australia. You were mentioning that you don't have a 300-year-old theater, but you have the Opera House. That's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
Is it this may be a stupid question, but I have to do it. It is only for opera, or do you do other things with it?
No, I've seen Kraftwerk at the Opera House, actually, which is like the pioneers of, you know, electro, like techno music.
Yeah.
It was really weird. But yeah, they have all kinds of shows there. From, I think, even from theatre to
they also have theatre.
You know, TED Talks. Like speeches and that sort of thing.
About education and so on. Oh, that's really cool.
And it's an incredible place.
Really? Have you been there?
Yeah.
How is it? Tell me.
I'm lucky enough actually that a friend of mine works at the Sydney Opera House.
Wow.
So he was able to take me through the bowels of the Opera House, backstage and through the halls and everything. And the place is just unbelievable. I mean, besides being an architectural masterpiece, which is an art form in itself,
Definitely.
Of course. It is the home to so many, incredible groundbreaking performances and you know, just the best artists that have ever bothered to, you know, visit Australia and perform for us. They all perform at the Sydney Opera House.
Yeah, definitely.
The acoustics in there are unbelievable. You know, it's the best place to go and watch live music.
I cannot imagine like all the science that had to go through that design to make the acoustics just perfect.
Yeah.
It has to be like a really hard work. So one of the reasons why are we talking about theater and how theater is in Australia and how it's in Costa Rica is because, Dave, you had a really interesting experience here in Japan that it's around theater, and I would like you to share it with our listeners. So could you please tell us what was it?
Yeah, sure. So I discovered a performance art called Buto.
Buto. Okay, Buto.
And I discovered this in Australia, funnily enough, before I even came to Japan. And I was fortunate enough to be trained under the leading Australian in the craft of Buto, which is Dr. Lynn Bradley. And she she just completely won me over to this thing that I'd never experienced before. I did this course with her, and it's not just. I don't believe that it's just. It's basically physical theatre.
Okay.
That's what an audience sees in
actually,
Buto performance.
I would like you to explain a little bit what it is itself before your experience. Like, what is Buto? It like what is it? What do you see? How will you define it?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I've really shot myself in the foot with this because it's so difficult for me to put an answer to it. Everything that I've learned about Buto has been translated and passed through from person to person, and it's a very philosophical art form, so it's really hard to say that it's any one thing.
Okay.
Just like any good Japanese concept, it's
so complicated.
It's like minimalistic and extremely complicated at the same time.
Okay, let me ask you some questions to make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, sure.
When was it born? Like when was it created? How old is it? This art form.
So I think that it's about my maths is terrible, but maybe about 70 years old. It was a reaction to World War II.
Ah, okay.
So like any good theatre, it's always a cultural reaction to something. Everybody needs some kind of way to release emotions or grief or to start again somehow. They need to be able to put out what they're feeling and thinking out into the world.
That traumatizing experience, which is a war.
Right.
So let's say it was in the 40s?
Yeah, I think so.
It's around the 40s. And when exactly in Japan was it born?
When?
Where?
Where?
When?
I think that it was... it's just south of Tokyo.
South Tokyo.
Yokohama?
Yokohama
is just sort of southwest of Tokyo, right?
It could be, yeah.
I think that's where...
Let's say the southwest area from Tokyo in the 40s. Yeah, definitely. That sounds really interesting. And what are the features, what are the characteristics that make this Buto itself? During the performance, what are some specific characteristics that the audience can identify when they see it?
Yeah, sure. So again, like anything brilliant and hardworking in Japan, it's ensemble based, which means that everybody is doing more or less the same thing at the same time, so that the audience sees a wall of bodies that they can't distinguish one from the other.
But the idea is that everybody's the same. There's no a main character.
Yeah, right.
Is there a story, a linear story, a classical story with a beginning, conflict, and an end?
Yeah, so I've seen one insanely good Buto performance, which was derived from the narrative War and Peace.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Okay, that's complicated.
Yeah. Okay. And so it's all non-verbal. There's no dialogue. No dialogue whatsoever.
No dialogue.
It's purely physical movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you'd be surprised just how much you can communicate with your main tool, which is your body.
Yeah, definitely.
And when a lot of people are doing the same action or movement at the same time, it's just such a striking image, And when you can't tell one from the next.
Another one.
Yeah, talking about the performers themselves. Again, it's really, I don't know, it's sort of hypnotic in a way. I mean, I should also mention that I've studied Buto now in Japan as well. I was introduced to it in Australia, but I recently came back from a retreat where I got to have more education and kind of continue my journey of this
form of art.
Yeah, this art and philosophy and training. And before I went, I was a bearded, long-haired man, and then afterwards they'd shaved me right down to the scalp. and painted me gold.
Oh my God.
Head to toe.
You were a gold person.
More or less like the Oscar that you see at the Academy Awards.
Okay.
Yeah. But we all were. That's the thing. Like every single guy. It's the idea is that it completely strips you of your identity.
Yeah.
You know, it makes everybody
exactly
neutral.
Same.
I mean, besides your height, I guess, which is something that can't really be helped. Everybody looks exactly the same
as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. So during the word camp or during the retreat, is there a sensei, is there a teacher that teach you what to do, and there is people that decide the choreography and the story and they teach you how to do, or is like a more social thing in which everybody have something to say and everybody like gives an idea or
the annoying answer is that it's kind of a bit of both.
Oh my God.
But no, you're right. There definitely are choreographers. The retreat itself that I went on this time around, it was we were fortunate enough to actually perform with the company itself. So say there's about maybe like 20 members of this really well-renowned Buto dance company, and they were our instructors, our helpers, our choreographers. They explained to us the meaning of Buto, the idea behind it, why it's such a fantastic and creative way to express yourself.
Okay.
And above all the choreographers and everybody, there was like, you know, the chief, the master, the master Buto
the guy explaining everything.
Yeah, a gentleman by the name of Maru Akaji. And he was just unbelievable. Yeah, he was definitely the brains behind it, the kind of philosophy, the soul of it.
I see.
So we had some really interesting lectures from this guy as well.
That's so nice. I'm so happy you had that experience, and I'm so happy you could learn more from it. So unfortunately, it seems that we almost reached the end of the program, so we are waiting for messages from you with feedback or requests.
Sushi, Sumo, Tokushima!
This radio program, Sushi, Sumo, Tokushima, is being recorded live here on B-FM in Tokushima. Feedback of today. So how you feel, Dave? It was really interesting to talk about your experience here.
Yeah. I'm so happy that I get that I've been invited back here and to have a conversation.
Definitely. Thank you so much for coming and share your time with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so this program is hosted by volunteer members working with non-profit organization B-FM Daigaku. We are open to and accepting any forms of support or contribution you have to offer with the local community of Tokushima. Please do not hesitate to contact us if you wish to get involved by emailing radio@bfmdaigaku.net. We are accepting requests and messages via email. Please send emails to requests@bfm.jp, including the title of the show Sushi Sumo Tokushima in your messages. You can listen to this channel FM B-FM on the internet with your PC and smartphones. If you are accessing with your PC, go to the website www.bfm.jp and you will find a pink banner rating Sumo Radio on the left side of the page. If you're accessing with your smartphones or tablet, please download the application Listen Radio. Then select BFM 791 FM B-FM with the area Chugoku Chikoku. If you're listening to this radio in an area that has weak radio wave, don't worry. You can listen to this program with a clear sound through this internet radio system. No one knows what language will be spoken or what kind of topics we will bring up next Thursday, so please don't miss it. Bye bye!
See ya!